This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What is going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. It is November 8th, 2021. Co-host Luke Sylvia, as always, is with me. Luke, what's going on, man? It's a great night.
It's a great night. I didn't know if it was going to be a great night, right?
I wasn't sure. I wasn't
checking
sold.
with me about an hour and a half ago. I wasn't too sure. But, fun game. Obviously, you guys are tuning in to hear about that game specifically, I'm sure, at this point. Bookend kind of the game, the way the Magic started, and they finished it. So it was good.
Yeah, it's not always how you finish, it's how you end. They did start the game really well. We're going to talk more about the Magic's win over the Utah Jazz. Didn't think we'd be saying that tonight. But yeah, just a fun game. Another interesting week of Magic basketball. Really the best week of Magic basketball that we've had so far. So we were seeing signs of improvement, which I think is really important, Luke. But let's go ahead. We got some housekeeping things before we go ahead and start covering the games of the past week. So really quickly, we want to shout out our patrons. So if you guys don't know, we started a Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show. Want to shout out our newest patron, Joseph Chubb. Really, really appreciate your support. Means a lot to us. And then our other patrons, Court Cousins, Drew Gooden, Armin, Keith Garcia, Zico, Carson Tulo, Nathan Lynn, Ellis, Jonathan Borges, Norm L, Magic Player History, and Julio. Luke, that list is getting a little bit longer each week, and little part there is taking longer and longer for me to say, but we're not complaining. Again, really appreciate your guys' support, Luke. Let's get into the weekly state of the Orlando Magic. So your Orlando Magic went 2-2 this week. They started the week. You did.
Called it 2-2.
I did call the Magic beating the Timberwolves. I just didn't think they'd pull out this win against the Jazz, and I'm glad to be wrong about that. They started the week with a 115-97 shellacking of the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minneapolis. I'm excited to talk about that game with Luke. A 92-79 loss to the Celtics at home. A 102-89 loss to the Spurs at home in a rematch of the home opener. And then a thrilling Sunday night win against the Utah Jazz, 107-100. They now sit with a record of 3-8. Coming into Sunday, they were 27th in net rating in the NBA with an offensive rating of 101.7, which means the Magic per 100 possessions score 101.7 points, which is good for 25th in the NBA, and a defensive rating of 110.4, which was good for 27th in the league. The Magic now have put together, a few games here of pretty solid defensive performances, although they haven't captured the win in each one of those games. And then on Sunday afternoon, Tankathon.com had the Magic with the toughest remaining strength of schedule in the NBA. At the time that I checked that, the Magic were 2-8 on the season. So for them to still have the toughest remaining strength of schedule in the NBA was like, wow. Things really could even get a little bit worse here, Luke. But overall, Luke, it was a good week of Magic basketball going 2-2. You were right. I think, what was the other game that you had picked? Because it wasn't the Minneapolis game. You had picked another game.
I think I had picked the Celtics and the Spurs in the middle of the week. The two games the Magic lost, I predicted that they would win. The Celtics, I thought that the Magic were going to be able to win that game. And, they held the players meeting in Orlando, and it looked like the Magic were primed to do that, and would have been nice to go 3-1 this week, but it is what it is.
All right, let's talk game one, Monday at the Timberwolves. So Kevin and I, last week, we felt the need to record an emergency podcast based off of the fourth quarter that we had. So Luke, you have not really been able to give your take, so I'm just going to give like a quick rundown of the game, and then we'll get right to your thoughts on like what we witnessed in that game. It was incredible. So if you guys were living under a rock this week, it's okay. We got you. The Magic went into Minnesota, prevailed 115-97 with an absolute masterclass of a fourth quarter against the Utah Jazz. Orlando started the fourth quarter down 6, but outscored Minnesota 43-19. So plus 24 in the fourth quarter with the help of 14 fourth quarter points from Cole Anthony and 10 points from Franz Wagner, including one of the best dunks you will see this season on Jared Vanderbilt and kind of Karl Anthony Towns, depending if you count that as a poster on Cat, to put a punctuation mark on the 18-point Magic victory. So, Luke, let's get your thoughts just on that game, that fourth quarter, what we saw out of Cole and Franz.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're kind of just looking at everything, I'm a big quarter by quarter guy. I like to, kind of, just take it one quarter at a time, right? And so the Magic are down 6 at the end of that first quarter. They outscored the T-Wolves by 1 in the second. They get, the T-Wolves outscore the Magic by 1 in the third. At this point, the Magic are obviously down, and, you're just hoping that the Magic can put together a fourth quarter, much like they did tonight, right? And they were able to do that. And like you said, coming at the hands of Franz Wagner and his 10 points, Cole had a big fourth quarter as well. I mean, that game was so much fun, and it normally is going to be that way with this team. It's a team that you go into the night and you're thinking it's very possible that the Magic lose this game. And it doesn't matter who they're playing because they're just not a great team right now. So when you go in and you beat a team that is promising, and the T-Wolves, they look like they can put something together this year. And you go into Minnesota, Cole Anthony, the mayor of Minneapolis, just doing whatever he wants with the T-Wolves. Played 38 minutes. It puts up 31, 9, and 8. Almost has a double-double. Obviously, ultimately, almost a triple-double. Franz Wagner just putting the ball in the hoop, 28 points, not much on the other ends of the spectrum there. Besides, he did fill in with a block and 2 steals as well. Just a really fun game, man, and it was just Franz Wagner just continues to impress me. The way that he does the things that we talk so much about, it just seems like he's getting better at the things he's already good at. Right, like he is just improving on the things we already know that he's good at. He off the ball was incredible, and was able to pick his spots and make the right plays. Man, he just continues to be so impressive. 0 turnovers. I know that he's a guy that only gets doesn't get too many assists per game, but the turnover margin we've talked about so much on this show. Incredible from him to have 0 turnovers and still have the game that he had. 5 for 9 from 3. I mean, that game had the Cole storyline, the Franz storyline, and the huge fourth quarter. I mean, what did we put up, like 43 points or something like that in the fourth? So incredible, and held them to 19. I mean, they really hung their hats on their defense in that fourth quarter and their offense. It was really a complete game by them.
Yeah, I know, Kevin and I had the conversation. I know we've talked about, the comparisons with Hedo Turkoglu, with Franz Wagner, and I just feel really confident in the fact that Franz Wagner is going to be very, very good for a really long time. He just he's so consistent night in and night out, scoring double digits, I believe, in almost every Magic game this season. And he just continues to do things well every night. For the amount of time that he does have the ball in his hands throughout the game, he's only averaging 0.8 turnovers right now. So that just goes to show you, he really is making very good decisions all of the time. Tonight, he cut. And I forget who threw the bounce pass to him, but it hit him in the hands and went out of bounds. I believe it was in the fourth quarter. We were starting to make that comeback, and I turned to my wife and I said, man, it's pretty, Franz couldn't have picked a worse time to make his first mistake of the season. That's really how it feels. The kid just, almost never is in the wrong spot, never messes up. This kid really has a chance to be so good. We'll talk more about the Utah game, but I believe it was twice in the first quarter, there was a dribble handoff with him and Wendell. He went right at Rudy Gobert and finished with the left hand over the Stifle Tower. And there was, a few possessions later, he goes right at him again, in the back, 2 crossover moves. Goes, I think it was to his left again. He just has so much of a bag that I didn't think we realized. He's putting the ball behind his back in transition. He's crossing guys over. He's making really good moves. He's got a killer first step, especially being guarded by bigger guys.
Yeah.
I think the beginning of the season, Luke, we knew, that Chuma was out. And when we saw the starting lineup opening night, Cole, Jalen, Franz, and then Wendell and Mo, we were like, okay, Franz is going to start now. And then, when Chuma comes back, Chuma will play himself back into the starting lineup. I've got to say, like, Chuma, I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to write Chuma off or, like, jump to conclusions or anything like that. Chuma hasn't looked quite as good as he did last season. I do feel like he's still getting his conditioning back. He's still, knocking off some rust. Right now, it seems like he's got a limit, like, just of around 20 minutes. We really haven't seen him play too much, like, past that. Like, against the Timberwolves the other night, he played, what was it in that game? 20 minutes and 37 seconds. And then against the Celtics.
It stayed that way, basically.
Yeah, 18 and a half minutes, 19 minutes, 58 seconds. It looks like he's got like a hard limit at 20 right now. But Franz is just so good. I would say Chuma has a great feel for the game, but I feel like Franz has an even better natural feel for the game. And I think Franz is every bit as good defensively as Chuma, and Franz just gives you a little bit more offensively right now, especially because Chuma hasn't been shooting the ball that well. But it's a good problem to have Franz Wagner and Chuma Okeke. We keep talking about this with Mosley. He's going to have some hard decisions to make. I'm very confident that Franz is going to be the starting, small forward on this team for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, even like, last year with Chuma, right? You're saying he has a minutes cap at 20, and he does. Last year, he only played like 25 minutes a game. Like, I feel like we've made Chuma. We know what Chuma could be, but I think that we have made Chuma in our minds to be greater already than he truly is. I think he's got a great feel for the game. I think he is a great defender, but it is not something ridiculous to say that Franz Wagner is better than Chuma Okeke. And I think that Franz just came in and is contributing at such a high rate. You were right about, his double-digit points this season. He's had 2, I believe, that were below 10, below double digits, and that was the 2 losses this week to the Celtics and the Spurs, in which, one of those games you can't be mad at. The Magic only scored 79 freaking points against the Celtics. Goes on to only, I think he scored like 7 or 9 against the Spurs, 7 on 3 of 11 shooting. So he had a couple off nights there. He obviously came off that big game in Minnesota. He's still trying to find his footing and kind of get his balance of like, okay, what am I capable of? I just came off of this huge win, and I think a huge win, a huge game for myself or my career, kind of where's the reality for me? And I think that's the thing that a lot of young players struggle with. Coming off of a big game, right? Their first huge game of their career. They're like, okay, how good am I really? Like, what can I really get away with? And I think Franz is just really trying to figure that out. Franz is getting the shots. He's going to be able to stay in rhythm. I think it is the best situation for him in terms of hopefully, Mosley just continues to start him regardless. I think that he has a high ceiling. I think his ceiling is higher than Chuma's. I think that his I don't know that for sure that Franz could be an all-star one day. It's definitely not a stance I had even a week or two ago when we talk about Franz's ceiling. But, man, the guy is he's so good. And I think that like you said, is just going to be really good for a long time. He's going to be a key contributor on whatever team he is on. Hopefully that's with the Magic for a long time finding success. But Franz just has it, man. Franz has it, and if his shot's falling, even if his shot's not falling, he is still so valuable on the court because he's not going to make stupid passes. He's not going to play terrible defense. He's not going to, not get back on defense. He's going to ring the bell. I mean, this is a guy that, despite what he's given you, shooting the ball, he's still going to be making the right plays, making the right cuts, things like that. And obviously, is always going to be giving you those winning plays.
I think, obviously, like, he was bound to come down to earth. Like a little bit, because he was playing so well. So, like, right now he's sitting at 13.7 points, shooting almost 47% from the floor, almost 39% from the three-point line. And I feel like the stats are kind of skewed because the last 2 games, like, the stats here are not updated with the stats from tonight, but they were skewed by pretty poor offensive performances against the Celtics, against the Spurs. But I think teams are starting to pay attention to Franz, where, the first 7 or 8 games wasn't really on the scouting report. And now it's like Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter, and then Franz Wagner. Like, those are the guys at least in that starting lineup that offensively, like, you really have to keep an eye on or they're going to hurt you. But I am just incredibly confident in the fact that Franz is just going to continue to get better, and he's going to be very, very, very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to move on to the second game of the week here. Game 2, Wednesday, home versus the Celtics. So
Do we have to talk about it?
We do.
That is unfortunate.
It is. Orlando had their first halftime lead of the season in this game with a 46-44 lead after two quarters. Orlando shot 40% to Boston's 36% in the first half. That was really the difference. You're up 2 at the end of the first half. And then really the Celtics stepped it up defensively in the third quarter. Mostly a lot of switching with Marcus Smart, just constantly switching him onto the ball handler. Luke, 10 of Orlando's first 12 attempts in the third quarter came from 3. This is really where the team, after a hot shooting night in Minnesota, it really felt like the team was just trying to get it all back in one possession. It was just bad offense. We were not seeing the team play with pace, space in the past, the way that Mosley has been preaching the entire season. One of those threes did come at the end of the shot clock, so it's like, okay, it's your last second, the ball's got to go up. But 4 of those 10 attempts, Luke, came with 12 or more seconds left on the shot clock. 2 of them came with 16 or more seconds left on the shot clock, meaning they dribbled the ball up the court, they made one pass, and that guy just fired it up. That's not good offense. A young team, it's easy to fall in love with the jump shot, especially when you're trying to come back in a game, but it was really detrimental to the offensive flow in this game. Orlando shot 2 for 17 in the third quarter, scored a season-low 10 points in the quarter. The Magic were down by 19 heading into the fourth, unable to mount a comeback in the fourth, and they lost 92-79. So you played defensively well enough to win this game, but the shots were just not falling. Orlando shot 32% from the floor, 27 of 84, 9 of 43 from behind the arc, 20.9% from the three-point line, Luke. Only guy that I think you could actually argue played well in this game was Wendell Carter, 13 points, 5 of 12 from the floor, 13 rebounds. Everyone else, it was just like a meh, like kind of night. Like nobody really shot the ball particularly well. And yeah, I mean, when you're shooting the ball like that, you have a third quarter like that where you score 10 points, you're just not going to win many games in the NBA, man.
Yeah, I think, like you talked about, the third quarter was it was such a head scratcher for everybody. I mean, like you said, you're putting up those threes, and while the Boston's in rhythm, like you said, played well defensively, specifically in the third or the second and the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter at that point, I'm sure the Celtics just kind of seemed to be taking their foot off the gas a little bit there. Only gave up 17 fourth quarter points, 18 second quarter points. But yeah, I mean, you score 10 points in a quarter, and I can guarantee you, I can tell you who wins that game 9 times out of 10, right? So a lot of it really did have to do with, I think, Mosley could have utilized timeouts better in those moments, where you're just jacking up threes early in the shot clock, maybe drawing up more plays, so that guys don't, we don't have that happening, something to get it in, inside and have someone cut. I mean, there are just so many options that don't end in a 10-point quarter. It's astounding to me. I really do think that third quarter for me was really on Mosley. It's hard not to put it on the coach when you only score that many points in a quarter. So really stunk because you did play well defensively, but you just played so bad offensively. Again, like you said, coming off of the 2 nights before, you were just tearing down the city of Minneapolis, right? So like you felt like you could do anything. You have your first half lead of the season against Boston, and then you just throw it out the window with that third quarter, and it sucked, quite frankly, to only put up 79 in a game.
Box score for the Celtics: Jaylen Brown ends up with 28 points, a team high for the Celtics. 10 of 17 from the floor, 3 of 8 from 3. He added 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Yeah, the Celtics game was not a lot of fun, Luke, and neither was the game against San Antonio on Friday night. So Game 3 versus San Antonio, this was a rematch of the season opener in San Antonio, where the Magic lost 123-97. So I'm sure these guys were really eager to play well in this game, and they really didn't. Rough shooting from the Celtics game carried over as the Magic shot just 8 of 26 from the floor in the first, including Wendell Carter Jr. shooting 1 for 10 in the first quarter. Magic trailed 13 at the half. Orlando was able to cut the deficit to 10 heading into the fourth quarter, but they were unable to put enough solid defensive possessions together, just trading baskets with the Spurs. Let the Spurs shoot 56% in the fourth quarter. Magic lose 102-89. So this was really the second game in a row. Magic did not shoot the ball well, 39% from the floor. Biggest thing for me in this game, Luke, was the 18 turnovers. We saw this from the Spurs in game 1 of the regular season. Magic get off to a good start. San Antonio goes into this 2-1-2 like half-court trap, kind of like three-quarter court press. They basically did it from like the very beginning of the game, trying to speed up the young guys. Evident, Cole Anthony, 5 turnovers. Jalen Suggs, 5 turnovers. Chuma Okeke, 2 turnovers. Terrence Ross, 3 turnovers. We're going to talk at length about Terrence Ross at some point. I don't feel like this is the night to do it. We're on such a high from the win against the Jazz. But this was like really kind of inexcusable for me. Terrence Ross, 27 minutes, 0 of 2 from the floor, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, give him the steals. But like a guy that's supposed to be the veteran on the team playing 27 minutes gets 2 shot attempts up. I know that in the second unit, teams are laser focused, especially a team as well prepared and well coached as the San Antonio Spurs by Greg Popovich. I don't know totally who is at fault. I do feel like most of it is on Terrence just not shooting the ball well. But it does feel like Mosley has to do a better job of getting Terrence open. But 27 minutes, 2 shot attempts out of your veteran when the team desperately needs your offense is like inexcusable. It's kind of, I don't want to liken it to that infamous Phoenix game that Kobe had in the playoffs where he just didn't shoot the entire second half because he was upset, that guys weren't giving him the ball. But 27 minutes, 2 shot attempts. Again, we'll talk about Terrence Ross at length at some point. But this game in particularly, you just didn't get anything from your veterans. Looking at Gary Harris, almost 20 minutes, 1 of 6 from the floor, 5 rebounds, one assist, 1 block. Like, everyone was bad this night, but particularly the veterans. When this is a season that you are so heavily going to be relying on the veterans to pick you up in games like this, get you back in the game, and it never happened. And it seems like it's becoming a problem.
Yeah. I mean, the veteran presence is obviously pivotal for
locker
tonight. Room chemistry
Gary
and things.
Harris.
Right, and what T. Ross against the Knicks, wasn't it with that when he had that huge quarter, the fourth quarter, and the Magic, had 36-point quarter, won 110-104. I mean, we, don't get us wrong, we have seen the veterans step up, but it's weird. It's like when they're good, they're great, but when they're bad, they're atrocious, right? I mean, 2 shots from T. Ross.
More of the latter.
That's got it. T. Ross played like 26 minutes or something that game. I don't know what it was off the top of my head. 25, 27.
Seconds, so 27
Okay,
minutes.
so he plays 26 minutes that game, puts up 2 shots. I'd like to know the last time Terrence Ross put up 2 shots in that many minutes. Because
I would like to know the last time he put up that many shot attempts in a game. I don't care if he played 5 minutes. He's getting at least 3 or 4 shot attempts.
So I don't know what it was, because honestly, I would have to. That was one of those things where, like, in the moment, you're not thinking about T. Ross that much because he's not making an impact, right? So you look at the box score and it's like, what? He shot the ball twice? That's it? So for me, I'd honestly, like, I'm interested to go back and watch that game and just watch the possessions fold, how they unfold. Is T. Ross just kind of standing there? Is he open? Are they just not hitting him? What is going on that T. Ross is just hitting 2 shots in that amount of time of gameplay? It really inexcusable from him. And I know we said we weren't going to talk about it at length about him, but here we are. So yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate. Veterans need to, be there more often, even if they're giving me a little less than their best, because like when T. Ross scores that many, against the Knicks, that's great, but that's a game that's easy to get up for, right? Like, that's a game that's easy to get up for, but maybe, it's just not as sexy to get up for the game where you're playing a team that has, 2 or 3 wins at the time you play them, and the Spurs. So I don't know, man. There's some weird stuff going on as far as the veterans go, specifically T. Ross. I'm not sure what it is, man, but it's going to be interesting to kind of see how the season unfolds with all of them.
again, we're going to have like the in-depth conversation about
Yeah.
what's going on with Terrence or what's going on with Gary Harris, although he was good tonight. At some point, we're going to like actually dive deeper into that. But just to give you some context, the last time that he played that many minutes, having that few shot attempts, or really a game in general with that few shot attempts, was 4 seasons ago. Has not done that at all in the last 3 seasons. So, people can say, oh, it's just been 11 games. You're jumping to conclusions. That is anything. If I'm David Steele, that is anything. So something is going on. And, we'll have that conversation at some point, but not tonight. Looking at the box score for the Spurs, DeJounte Murray, who's really just been a menace in both games that we've played them this year, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 16 from the floor. I really, really enjoy watching DeJounte Murray play. I don't enjoy the Magic playing against him, but he is a lot of fun to watch play basketball, Luke. Let's go ahead, take a quick break, a word from our friends at Manscaped, and then we'll talk about this game against the Jazz. Guys, it is football season, baby, and you know what that means? It means we're going for 2 here with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. Blitzing through hairs has never been easier, and it's time you join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using code SIXTH, that's SIXTH, at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. It's 3 and out the window with all other trimmers. Now go tame that Wildcat offense.
The Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is the perfect package for your package and a key for a great grooming and hygiene routine to make sure the boys downstairs are smooth like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 is here to take your defense to the next level. This 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SIXTH at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code SIXTH, SIXTH. Stiff arm your pubes out of the playoffs this year with Manscaped. All right, Luke, Sunday night against the Utah Jazz. We just finished this game about an hour and a half ago now. So Utah coming into this game, the second night of a back-to-back, after a 118-115 loss to the Miami Heat on Saturday, and they traveled to Orlando. The Magic were up by as much as 15 in the first quarter, like really blitzed Utah, like got off to a great start. Everybody was hitting shots. I believe they hit their first 5 shots from the floor. Quinn Snyder called a timeout, like everything. The Magic really had it going. Utah, however, responds with a big second quarter to take a 2-point lead into the half. Orlando started the fourth quarter down 10. Wendell Carter, R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris, we'll talk more about them, but all of those guys played the entire fourth quarter, were huge parts of the comeback tonight. But with 6 minutes, 36 seconds to go, Franz Wagner subbed in for Chuma Okeke to give the Magic a lineup of Cole Anthony, R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, and that group closed the game on a 19-9 run. Magic made their last 5 shots from the field in a row to end the game. So they started the game that way, they ended the game that way, hitting 5 shots in a row. Luke, I want to talk about R.J. Hampton and Cole Anthony. I'm going to pull up the play-by-play from this game because it's just really interesting to me. So here it is. So with 5 minutes, 43 seconds to go in the game, Joe Ingles goes to make a corner pass. Cole Anthony reads it perfectly, grabs it with the left hand, runs the other way, huge dunk. I don't know if there are more exciting things to watch in the NBA than Cole Anthony on a breakaway where you know he's taking like one step after the free throw line, flying through the air and jamming it. Because watching the game, you can tell he's a smaller guy, but the amount of bounce that this kid has is absolutely ridiculous. So that gives the Magic, I believe that was the first lead of the half to put the Magic up 92-91, 5:43 to go in the game. They come down the other end. Donovan Mitchell misses a 3. He gets the rebound, gets it to Royce O'Neal, who hits a 3 to put the Jazz back up 2. Okay, RJ turns the ball over. Donovan Mitchell turns the ball over. Then Franz Wagner gets a steal coming the other way, gets it to Cole, who then dunks it again, this time with the left hand.
Opposite hand,
ties the game up. Okay? Teams kind of go back and forth, back and forth. Rudy Gobert gets a dunk, puts the Jazz up 2, 3:41 to go. And then R.J. Hampton, a couple series later, with the driving reverse layup over Rudy Gobert. It sat on the rim for what felt like an eternity to tie the game up. They go the other way. Cole Anthony fouls Rudy Gobert. He makes both free throws. They go back up 2. And 2 minutes, 19 seconds left to go in this game. You're like, okay, young team. We don't have Mo Bamba in the game. We don't have Jalen Suggs in the game. Guys that usually close out the game for us alongside Wendell, Cole Anthony, Franz Wagner. At one point, you see Mo Bamba come to the scorer's table, get ready to check in. Then a couple series later, he's sitting back down. We'll talk more about that how all of that came to happen. But R.J. Hampton comes down, okay, didn't look totally sure of what he was going to do, but ends up with the pull-up. I believe it was from the left elbow to tie the game at 98 all. Royce O'Neal misses a big 3. R.J. Hampton gets a huge rebound. Cole Anthony comes back the other way, doesn't totally know what what he's going to do. He hits a 19-foot jumper. Donovan Mitchell turns the ball over. Cole Anthony comes down again, hits the jump shot. Donovan Mitchell has a layup. Now it's a 2-point game with 44 seconds left. Cole Anthony comes down with the ball, almost turns the ball over like 3 times. Guys are diving on the floor. Gary Harris is on the floor. Somehow R.J. Hampton breaks open from the right wing for a 3. Just a huge shot for this kid who's so young. Cole talked after the game how he's been a little bit frustrated not really getting the playing time that he deserved, but he hits that 3 with 21 seconds left, and I tweeted that it was the R.J. Hampton dagger. People were like, wait a minute, we don't know what's about to happen. And I knew the game was over. I knew we would have it. But basically, like, we end the game on Cole Anthony free throws, 107-100, crazy fourth quarter. R.J. Hampton's defense on Donovan Mitchell in the fourth quarter was incredible. We almost kind of put like the clamps on Donovan Mitchell down the stretch there. It was really a sight to behold. But like Cole Anthony is evolving into that guy right in front of our eyes. And R.J. Hampton, 8 fourth quarter points, Luke. This feels like it could be the game that R.J. gets the kind of confidence that it seems like he's been lacking. A lot of the times he doesn't quite look sure of what he's doing with the ball in his hands. But this was a huge fourth quarter. Obviously, huge win over one of the best teams in the league. I'm done talking.
Yeah, so I think that, and I obviously I'll respond to RJ and Cole being just who we have come to know who Cole is, especially in crunch time, in all the positive and negative ways, which I'll also get to. But I think I took just kind of was noting things throughout the first quarter mainly. I was watching the game as I could. Those games, by the way, unpopular opinion maybe, I don't like these early games, just because it's during like dinner time and Harper's bedtime and Lauren's got a meeting for work. All that stuff aside, right? On the first quarter, I'm locked into this game. I'm taking notes on everything. One of my notes, it's kind of funny to look back at everything. So first I kind of noted at the beginning of the game, Jonathan, you get rolling with the Bamba block on Bogdanovic, followed by a WCJ short jumper over Gobert, and then a WCJ 3 from the top, and then another WCJ 3 at the 8:24 mark left in the first quarter. And then one of the funnier things to kind of look at, no clue how Suggs finished that 1-on-3 fast break. That was one of my notes. No idea. Suggs had that in that first quarter, had that finish where it just looked like I was telling him to slow down verbally, right? Like, you got 1-on-3, slow down, and he somehow gets it to fall. But kind of this note from the first quarter, you could just basically just copy and paste to the fourth quarter in terms of the success that the Magic were having. Active hands and great help defense. And I wrote that down after Cole Anthony stripped Whiteside down low, and then WCJ had the block on Whiteside with help defense with 4:45 left in the first quarter. So that all, WCJ wasn't over there. He came over to help on Whiteside because Whiteside had a favorable matchup, got the block on him. Bamba blocked Ingles. He had 2 first quarter blocks. I mean, they were everywhere. So that really was like the theme of the game for me, was active hands and great help defense. And that's what Mosley talked on, in his press conference. One of the things he talked about was, we're going to have to hang our hats on our defense and on the pass, right? Defense definitely was a huge thing tonight for the Magic. The Jazz, barely break 100. They get 100 points tonight. Now, I said my piece. Now I want to respond kind of to that whole sequence that you did, go into detail with RJ and Cole. RJ stumbles into great situations sometimes, right? That three, he was just there. Okay, Cole in one of this goes into the negative of Cole, the Cole Anthony experience. This is the negative of it, right? And then I'm gonna just say all positives from there on out for Cole. It felt like on that possession where he comes down at that pivotal moment of the fourth quarter, Jonathan, it felt like it was going to be one of those moments where I text in the group chat and say, Cole's doing too much. I text Kevin, and Kevin texted something the other day in our chat saying that, and during the first half of one of the games that we had, I can't remember where it was, but Cole's doing too much, right? Cole's confident, and we love that about him, but it comes with its pros and cons. That was one of them. RJ Hampton knocks down that three, huge shot, right? So for me, it was an incredible RJ Hampton game. Do I think he will be involved in a lot of closing lineups for this season? No, I don't. Even if J.I. wasn't back and Markelle wasn't back, I would still say the same thing, right? It was a perfect game for him. All 8 points come in the fourth quarter. He picked a great time to have a great time, right? So still ends the game with I think 1 assist and 3 turnovers. So just did have those plays where he just kind of looked deer in the headlights a little bit, like you said. He has that to him sometimes, but yeah, man. I as far as RJ goes, incredible game. I hope we can see more from him because that defense that he did put on in the fourth quarter was incredible. Mo's touched on that as well. I do want to give him his props there. Defensively, he was incredible. He was flying around. He was making the right plays. He was clamping, and yeah, I mean, he was great. Cole's gonna Cole, right? 13 of 20 from the field. 5 of 10 from 3. Just one of those out of body experiences where he drops 30, over 30. Had 33 tonight.
Is it out of body? I feel like we can almost stop saying that. This is happening on a regular basis.
Right, I get it. But 5 of 10 from 3 is pretty out of body.
I mean, this year it's not. I mean,
we'll see.
The kid is shooting 41% from 3 on the season. That's going to come with some 5 of 10 nights. It's going to come with some 2 of 10 nights.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter how you get there, I guess, right? So, I mean, I would rather him just be kind of steady Eddie right in the middle. Give me 4 for 9, 4 for 10 every night. That'd be great. 40% from 3 instead of, spare me the 0 for 10s.
It's a roller coaster. Cole Anthony is a roller coaster.
Yeah, no doubt. And his 33 points, I mean, he incredible. I mean, he was incredible tonight. Great team defense as well. I mean, like you talk about that steal that he had 3 steals tonight. Make sure I'm reading that right. Yeah, he had 3 steals tonight. Most notably, the steal that he had where it ended in his punctuation dunk. But by the way, when he dunks, Jonathan, it looks like they showed like a slow-mo thing. It looks like he's trying to run on water. Like his legs are
He's
moving
got that,
and
like,
churning.
Westbrook type of I'm trying to destroy the rim.
It looks painful. I know his wrist hurts. Back from my days of dunking on an 8.5 foot rim.
Oh yeah, of course.
I know that wrist hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean he looks like he's flying through the air. But yeah, I mean that's kind of really all I have to say to respond to kind of your RJ and Cole recap. I think that it's far more likely that we see that from Cole through the rest of the season than we are from RJ. But I am glad that it was kind of that next man up mentality. RJ said, "I'm getting the minutes that I think I deserve here. I'm closing. I think I should close." I'm sure he thinks that and has the confidence to think that. And he made the most of it. I mean, I really was proud of his performance tonight in the fourth quarter, especially defensively, and obviously, hits that big 3.
Yeah. So we talked, last week about how good Cole has been, and Cole has unequivocally been, like, arguably the second best player out of last year's draft so far to start this year. Like, the only guy that I think you can really say has gotten off to a better start than Cole out of these second-year players is LaMelo Ball. Like, he's scoring more than Anthony Edwards. He's been more efficient than Anthony Edwards. He looked way better than Anthony Edwards in their head-to-head matchup, was more efficient, all that kind of stuff. Like, Cole needs to really start to get his flowers around the season.
Dude,
We've seen some folks not do that.
He does this a lot, obviously, but tonight, for whatever reason, I don't remember who it was on. It may be Royce O'Neal. Poor Royce O'Neal.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Just feel bad for the kid.
Let's talk about that for like a split second here. So that was pretty late in the fourth. I don't remember exactly when it was, but Royce must have been like jawing to Wendell, because Wendell isn't really the kind of guy that tries to show anyone up. But Wendell like seals Royce O'Neal really, really deeply, gets the ball, absolutely hooks with the left hand. But the officiating in this game was so bad. I said it. I could care less. I couldn't care less.
You use the right form there on Twitter. Couldn't care less. There you go.
So the Magic 11 free throws in this game. The Jazz shot 29. So Wendell hooking him and dunking, I didn't care whatsoever. But then just hit him with I can't do it. It doesn't look as good on camera.
He's too little.
But just hits him.
He was holding it to the ground, like saying he's this tall,
6 inches from the ground. Like it was very much lower than people normally go with that. Much lower.
Yeah.
Very
he called him like Christmas is coming up. He told him he looked like the guy that Buddy the Elf calls the South Pole Elf and Elf Peter Dinklage or whatever his name is.
Like that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was hilarious. No, but what I was gonna say real quick was, I wanted to highlight Cole has this ridiculous ability to hit somebody with a crossover, and all of a sudden he's got 3 feet of space on the 3-point line. He didn't hit the three in this play that I was like, my jaw almost hit the floor, but Cole just like dribbled up with confidence, hit him once with a crossover. The dude was over in just Russia for all I know, and Cole is wide open, doesn't hit the three, but my goodness, man, like if there is not enough to be said about the separation that Cole can provide for as small as he is, and just the length that he is not at an advantage with. I mean, it is ridiculous how clearly open he can get himself sometimes, and that was one of those times where I was just like, poor Royce O'Neal. I mean, you're just getting the short end of the stick in so many different ways tonight. Our whole team is doing you really dirty. I apologize.
I feel like we owe Lethal Shooter a little thank you, because his work with young Cole Anthony so far to start the season has paid off. Last thing I wanted to say about Cole is you and I talked last week about how I kind of felt like we were waiting the other shoe to drop with Cole. Like he had started so hot. It's like, is this for real, or is he just really hot to start the season? And then he'll kind of go back to the more inefficient kind of volume score that we were accustomed to seeing the second half of last year. And the game against the Celtics, 4 of 18 from the floor, 22% in 37 minutes, 2 of 11 from the 3-point line. I was like, okay, maybe that's about to happen. But then bounces back with a 21 point, 8 of 18 from the floor. Not incredibly efficient, but good enough. And then tonight, 13 of 20, 65% from the floor. Just, you could not ask more of what Cole Anthony is doing right now. He's absolutely been the second best player this year out of last year's draft class. So huge props to Cole Anthony. Last thing that I wanted to talk about of this Utah game, we mentioned that sequence where Mo Bamba goes, he's sitting on the scores table, getting ready to check in, then all of a sudden he's not. Jamal Mosley said after the game that Mo went up to him and said, "Coach, this group is rolling. Like, leave them in. I'm good. Like, I'm good to sit." And this is the thing that we know about Mo Bamba. Mo wanted to be in that game. It's not that Mo didn't want to be out there. He just knew that those guys were giving us the best chance to win at the moment, and you ride the hot hand. And props to Mo Bamba, props to Mosley for saying, you know what, you're right, let's leave these guys in. And as much as we can criticize Jamal Mosley for certain missteps that he's had so far to start the season, you got to give the guy credit where credit is due. He has shown the ability to adapt. He has shown the ability to, grow from game to game and make adjustments. And we begged Steve Clifford to do that for 3 seasons, and he never, ever would. And did it lose us that many games? Maybe not. You could probably count on, your hands and your feet, those digits, maybe the amount of games that lost us over the course of 3 years. But it's just a feel thing. When you have a hot hand, when you have a group that is being successful, you ride them until they are not successful. Props to Mo, props to Jamal for going with what was working in the moment. And it worked, and we won.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Jonathan, can you remind me? So the closing group for Orlando, right? You had Cole, you had what, Gary,
Cole,
you
RJ,
had
Gary,
RJ,
Franz, Rendell.
Franz. So who in that rotation do you think Mo taking RJ out of the game or Gary Harris out of the game, do you think?
Well, what would have happened is Mo would have come back in, and then a couple of minutes after that, maybe a minute after that, Jalen would have come back in. Like,
Right.
Cole came in for RJ, I think around like the 7 minute mark, somewhere around there. And then when Mosley decided with Mo that this group was rolling, just let them in, keep them in the game, he decided, okay, we're just going to ride these guys the rest of the way, and it paid off. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think Mo probably would have came in for either Gary or RJ, and then Jalen would have came in for the other guy, and it would have been the normal, kind of closing lineup that we've seen. Now, I don't
Right.
think this is going to continue. We might see this in other scenarios, just where Mosley rides the hot hand, but I don't think we're going to see that lineup on a regular basis as the closing group.
No, and it shouldn't be, right? It all should be kind of the feeling of the game, reactionary, basically, right? I mean, if you told me that, last season, that Cliff closed the night with a guy who up to that point had been playing 17.8 minutes per game, take away the fact that it's RJ Hampton right now, right? Take away that, just say like, hey, Cliff has been playing this guy almost 18 minutes a game. Do you think there's any way that he closes a game? I say no shot, right? No shot at all. So for him to do that was great. And then Gary Harris, 20 minutes, 21 minutes a game right now, not including tonight. So, and he closes. I mean, this was just a very atypical closing lineup. And I mean, really just applaud Mosley for that, right? And Mo. I mean, Mo, like, he didn't have to do that. Mo, any player is as confident and young as this team is. Any player on the team, I think, would have been like, nah, I'm getting mine, right? I'm going to go in the game. I'm going to change the game. I'm going to close this game, and I'm going to get a lot of respect because I'm closing a game against the second, third best team in the West right now, per their record, right? So incredible. And Mo, just to continue off of that, Mo last season would have killed to be in the closing lineup. I don't know if Mo has that same interaction last year that he did tonight with Cliff, right? But can you imagine Cliff finally puts him in the game,
required
closing?
them to speak to one another. So
right, exactly. So, but in all seriousness, man, like, do you think Mo would have had like the gall to tell Clifford like, "Hey, thanks for this decision to put me in to close the game, but I'm good, man"? No, it's because Mosley is just like, he respects Mo Bamba. Like, Mosley has all the respect in the world for Mo Bamba, it seems, giving him the fair shot that he, deserves, what we were screaming for last year. Mo Bamba, I think his attitude has probably done a complete 180 from what it was last year. Now, I can't speak to it, but I can imagine that like the treatment that he got from Cliff last year really probably rubbed him the wrong way, right? No one was happier, and we've said this before, no one was happier to see a new head coach roll in the door than Mo Bamba was. And here he is, doing a whole 180, telling the coach, "Nah, I'm good, coach. Like, these guys are doing their thing. Let it happen, and let the chips fall where they may. And I don't really care. Like, I won't regret it." Is essentially what he was telling, right? So, I mean, who knows what the outcome is of that game? If Bamba checks in, does he make some good plays? Probably. But did the Magic win the game? We have no idea. But I'm glad that Mo stepped up and made that decision. I mean, that's a mature move to make, and something that that's the growth that you can't measure, right, by statistics. That's the growth that we're seeing in these guys.
Yeah, you can definitely tell how much more confident Mo Bamba has grown, really just like the last month. Like starting, going back to preseason and now that he's been starting and he's playing a ton of minutes, his confidence is just really, really evident. And he was really, I thought, one of the unsung heroes of that fourth quarter in Minnesota. He played really great defense on Karl Anthony Towns. I believe he had a couple of blocks in the fourth quarter. He had some really big rebounds as well to get the Magic, back down the other floor. And, letting Franz and Cole Anthony just keep getting buckets. So Mo Bamba, you and I have talked about this almost at nauseum, I feel like, but Mo Bamba has just been so good. I think you still have to give the slight edge to Wendell, especially after a game like tonight. We'll get into the box score. Wendell Carter, 22 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block, 9 of 14 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3. This was a Nikola Vucevic type of stat line tonight out of Wendell Carter. Was just totally phenomenal. Looking at Cole Anthony, 33 points, 24 points in the second half. Again, 13 of 20 from the floor. I want to give a lot of guys love here. R.J. Hampton, 8 points, all of those coming in the fourth quarter. Gary Harris, I think 6 of his 8 points came in the fourth quarter. Mo Bamba, 9 points tonight, but 7 rebounds, 4 blocks. The thing with Mo, and we'll talk a little bit more about Mo here, the thing with Mo is even if he doesn't block the shot, he is almost always altering the shot now. And I think you only see that with the true elite shot blockers in the league. Like you see that with Gobert. You see that out of Mitchell Robinson.
Right.
Like the presence that Mo has in the paint defensively now, I think is so, so valuable. We've seen enough now to know that this Mo Bamba is for real, that we weren't just going to see this for a few games and then he's going to go and do whatever. Now, whether or not he stays healthy, that's another discussion, but I'm very confident, and I said this the day that the announcement for Wendell's extension came out, that this sets up things getting a little bit complicated in the offseason. Now, Mo Bamba having, his best friend, Cole Anthony there and, R.J. Hampton, and as close as these guys seem to be, and after this win tonight, you could see it on the floor, how happy they were to get the win, how happy they were for one another. I feel like Mo wants to stick around, and if the Magic offer him a reasonable deal, even if it's kind of discounted for what he might be able to get on the open market, I think he wants to stay here, and I think we've talked about this. They can coexist.
Yeah, and and like I said last week, I think this conversation really doesn't need to be had as much anymore about the difference between Mo and WCJ and who's better and who's not. So yeah, man, I think that
gun to your head, who's your starting center?
Wendell.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's just he is so consistent, man. Like he is someone that like I don't feel like I need to force him anything. I don't feel like, we're not using him as much as we should or like whatever. WCJ just is a plug and play. And doesn't require any type of system. He can step out, hit a 3, and like he's great. He's great. I don't really have a problem with him. Wish he was a couple inches taller, right? But I think we could say that for all of our players, besides Mo, maybe. So yeah, man. I think that I think WCJ he's the starting center that I'd roll with. I think Mo will be good coming in with the second unit. And I hope that he doesn't feel some type of way about it. I don't think he will. I think Mosley is earning his trust. They're earning each other's trust. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what that rotation looks like when everybody's back. If that ever freaking happens, it feels like it's never going to happen. I feel like this is just our team, and that's all it is.
I really hope a month and a half from now, we're looking at a different Orlando Magic team with Markelle back, with Jonathan Isaac back. Let me ask you this really quickly, Luke, because it feels like the conversation is going to need to be had, obviously, by Jamal Mosley. Everyone healthy right now, who would your starting 5 be?
Everyone healthy? I'm very visual. Okay, so Markelle at the 1, Cole at the 2, Franz, J.I., WCJ.
Doesn't that sound phenomenal? That sounds like a very good basketball team.
It does. It sounds like a respectable team, right? It sounds like we come into games and we're like, we have a chance to win tonight, instead of saying we have a chance to lose tonight. Regardless of the percentage chances, we won't get into it, but like it does seem like it's a respectable starting lineup.
And then your second unit probably looks something like Jalen, RJ, Chuma, Mo Bamba, and then Terrence Ross and Gary Harris can fight to the death for that 10th spot and give it to whoever you want. Luke,
isn't that crazy? Real quick, that's kind of crazy, right? Like
T.
Ross
last. I don't want to
but
I don't want to get into this
know,
whole thing, but they've been bad.
I know, but last year it was like 6th man of the year candidate start of the year, right? Like T. Ross. How about T. Ross, the Human Torch, huh?
I still
and
love
now it's
Terrence, but like,
well, yeah,
he
I
doesn't
know, but
seem
it's
happy
just
right now. I don't know if
No,
it's
it's
the
just-
losing. I
it's
don't
crazy.
know if it's his role. I don't know what's going on, but he does not look like the
He probably
same
knows he's always on the
happy-go-lucky
table.
Terrence Ross, I guess.
he probably knows it's at any moment he could get a call and they could say he's being traded. I think that's probably the thing. I think he's just waiting on it.
But do you think he wants that? That's the thing that I'm not sure of.
I have no idea.
People
I would love
are
to-
accusing him of that. I don't think that's fair. People are accusing him of just wanting to be out. I just don't know. I don't know.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
It's possible.
He could want out. And at the end of the day, man, maybe that's what's best in terms of like we just ride with Gary Harris at the end of our bench. I don't know, man.
This is the other thing. People are talking about just benching Gary Harris. You can't bench a guy that's making $22 million that you hope to trade at some point this year. That just doesn't happen.
No, it's a
Like
showcase.
you look at the
gotta
history of
keep
the
him
NBA,
playing.
a guy making $22 million that you are hoping to actually trade and get an asset back for, you do not bench him. It's
They end up getting
counterproductive.
bought out.
I'm starting to feel like that's more likely that some type of buyout happens.
Yeah, definitely not out
right
of the
before
question.
the All-Star break, something like that.
Right.
Wrapping up the Jazz game, quick look at the box score for the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert, 21 points, 15 rebounds, 7 of 9 from the floor. Obviously incredibly efficient, but 7 of 8 from the free throw line tonight, 87%. Thought he had a real chance to hurt us there. The officiating, I don't like to complain about the officiating, but the officiating tonight was just so bad and inconsistent. Something would happen on the yellow end, they would get the call, it would happen on our end, and we just weren't getting the same call. Props to Cole Anthony for actually calling them out on their BS tonight. I feel like this team needs more of that, even though you see guys across the league berate the officials. No technical foul. Tonight, Cole Anthony got called for a technical foul. You end up winning the game, so I'll take that a million times.
By the way, for those of y'all who haven't looked, usually I don't blame refs for anything, right? I say, normally I'd say, yeah, well, the Magic, shouldn't have played as poorly as they did, or whatever it might have been. The Magic shouldn't have gotten outscored 37-22. The free throw differential, the Jazz shot 29 free throws. The Magic shot 11.
A lot of times I feel like you can blame it on a team settling for three-pointers, but the Magic shot 10 less three-pointers than the Utah Jazz tonight. So you can't just say, the Magic were settling for jumpers, not being as aggressive, getting to the basket, all that kind of stuff. The Magic also ended up with 4 more points in the paint tonight. So that just goes to show you they were also being more aggressive at getting to the rim. So it just really was a one-sided whistle tonight. I really, really felt like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, this game wraps up. The Magic win 100-107 over the Utah Jazz. Luke, taking a look this coming week, the last couple weeks we've had really packed weeks, and this week it's like the guys get a few days off, they play a game, they get a few days off, they play a game. The Magic don't play again until Wednesday. So they'll probably be off tomorrow, practice on Tuesday, kind of tighten some things up as the Nets come to town. So they'll take on the Nets Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And they've got Thursday and Friday off before they play the Washington Wizards. So the Magic are going to get some really quality practice time in this week, which I think is really, really important for a young team, especially to tighten things up. They're definitely going to need it. The Nets.
They're going to need it.
Let's just get to this. I've got them going 0-2 on the week.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
I think we're in agreement. I think this is an 0-2 letdown week off a big win against a top team in the league. I think the Nets game could be bad. The Wizards game might be close. I know that they're 7-3.
If I had to pick, gun to my head, what game are they winning?
Obvious.
I'm
obviously.
game,
everybody listening is like, yeah, of course. You're going to which game?
I'm heading over. I hope to head over Saturday. I've got to double check with the Magic, make sure they've got my space available.
Doing media.
But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that Saturday.
Sweet.
You get hooked on that feeling, man. Being in the building, like while everyone's
like
just
it.
kind of hanging out, and
Yeah.
guys are just shooting around, and just dudes being bros.
Nothing
It's
like
like
it.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm excited to head over. Very
Definitely.
fortunate for that.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. 0-2 though. But
Yeah,
but
0-2.
you might see a win though. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I really don't know what to make of this Washington team. Is why I'm saying that. We'll see.
I just want to go through this stretch: Brooklyn, Washington, and then a 5-game road trip: Atlanta, New York, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Milwaukee, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Denver, Houston, Golden State, Sacramento, Clippers, Lakers, Atlanta, Miami, Brooklyn, Toronto, Atlanta.
It's
And
a
then
fun.
New Orleans, Miami,
stretch.
Milwaukee, Milwaukee. That's the rest of our year, Luke. I'll say maybe we can have a good chance to beat Cleveland. Then you're at Houston, probably have a chance to win that game. Sacramento's been playing decent to start the year, so I don't feel great about saying that's like a probable win or anything like that. But then you play New Orleans December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. We
Merry
might be
Christmas.
lucky to get, if we win 6 games between now and the end of the year, I will be very surprised.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna probably drop some of those 50-50 games. You're definitely going to.
Yeah.
You're going to beat some giants. And it's just gonna be, I mean, it's a toss up, man. I really don't know. I don't like to think about it. It's gonna be a lot of losses, but I am just hoping, man, that like the games that the Magic are still in it with the big dogs at the end of the game, I hope the Magic pull majority of those out. I know that it's not likely, but I hope it's the truth, because wins like tonight against the Jazz are going to do so much for that team and for the growth, right? Young guys don't get exponentially better on crappy basketball teams. So you need to win those games. If you're going to be crappy, which we have already conceded to, you need to win those games. And so I just hope that they find kind of the willpower and the mind strength to beat these guys, not make dumb decisions down the stretch that loses you basketball games. I hope that they can put themselves in positions to beat some of these really good teams.
It's that's like a 26 game stretch there, so maybe not 6 games. If they win more than like 8 games in that stretch, just based off of our current win percentage, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Be a little under 33%.
And hopefully, around that, December 23rd, December 26th game, Jonathan Isaac said it's a reasonable projection for him to be back by Christmas.
Whatever that means.
Well, I mean, it just means that, he thinks
it's reasonable.
for
It
him.
could happen, but it could not happen. I so don't.
When
just
he
don't
was
know what's
asked
gonna
that,
happen.
he said if it was up to him, he feels like he could be ready for opening night. But then there was a specific question asked, do you think you'll be ready by Christmas? And he says, I think that's a reasonable projection. So he can't say yes because the Magic don't want him to say yes. But my feeling is the Magic have probably told him, like, we'll bring you back around Christmas.
He's just gonna show up in the injury report as like questionable one day.
That day is really going to be a sight to behold. Him and Markelle coming back, Magic
it
Twitter
happened
is
with
going to be
Chuma.
so excited. It kind of happened with Chuma, but I feel like it will be to a greater
But
extent
like we
with
just
those
didn't know
guys.
anything.
Especially
Well,
if
of course.
those guys come back the same night. Could you wrap your head around that? It'd be pretty crazy.
No, which is why I think they're gonna stagger it.
I think no matter what happens, if it just comes out of the blue, like if we get an update like, oh, Jonathan Isaac is going to start Tuesday, give me like a little bit of time to work things out and make my way out there. But if it happens on like a Friday, like let's see, Friday, December 17th at home versus Miami. If an announcement comes out at like 1:00 that day, I'm going to have to cancel like all my afternoon clients and drive out to Orlando for that game because Amway is going to be rocking when that man checks back in for the first time. Same thing with Markelle. I was in the building when Markelle, made his debut for the Magic, 2 seasons ago on opening night. I believe it was against the Cavs, and like it was legitimately electric. Like that place got very loud when he checked in.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Luke, I think that's it. I think we did a pretty bang-up job tonight, if I do say so myself. These lights in front of me make this room so hot. I am sweating in places I didn't know that I could sweat. I know you didn't need to know that particularly, but you and I, there's not many secrets. We share a lot.
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
Definitely. I think that's going to do it, Luke.
Yeah. For those of you still listening, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you very much for listening to our sweaty swamp talk here. That's going to be the title of this episode. Not really. Definitely not. But guys, for Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Six Man Show. We will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Six Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. Please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It would really help us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 6 Man Show and like us on Facebook. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic.